Well, hey everyone, I want to welcome you guys to night 3 of our virtual training camp. We're very excited to have you all with us this evening. I'm sure we'll have some crossover from maybe Monday night and Tuesday night. Regardless, we're excited that you're here and we'd like to get started here. And I'm just going to open us up real quick in prayer, and then we'll dig right into in-person ministry and what that looks like for the Triangle SCA. Pray with me, will you? Father God, thank you for this time. We thank you for the ability to connect, just to talk about what it means to serve you through our huddles, through our leadership. Father, I ask that you bless our time and bless our conversation this evening. And in your son's name, amen. All right, everyone. So first off, I want to introduce our area rep down in Moore County. Christy is on with us. Christy, if you want to just pop on real quick and give a wave. There she is. We're just going to kind of have a little bit of dialogue later on when we get to the SCA resources and maybe share examples and whatnot of what we can do to equip you guys. So to start off, I want to kind of talk about what is a huddle, what isn't a huddle, and that'll should flash up here pretty soon on the screen. Here we go. Thank you, Alex. And so what is a huddle? SCA, well, let me put it this way. A huddle is not a Bible study. Okay, this is a time where we gather together and fellowship. It is not a Christian club, even though it kind of is like labeled as a club sometimes in your schools. We really are not a Christian club. We'd like to be considered like FCA in the sense of digging into the Word. As athletes, something in common that we do together. We're not a church or a youth group. What we are is an extension of the church. We're an extension of the youth group. Okay, we're just continuing ministry, and our end result is to get you involved in a church and in a youth group. So that's very important of us. We present the ministry, just sharing Christ and what that means to glorify God through sport, just with each other, just to build His kingdom. Using the platform of sport, and that's what FCA is here for. That's what we want to lead you into, that relationship with Christ, right? One thing that we want to talk about, thank you, Alex, that's good, is our absolute truths, okay? Our mandatory elements when you are having an in-person meeting, and it's different right now, okay? It's so different. We have a lot of people who are anxious to meet together. We do have some private schools that are already meeting in huddles, but yet we still have certain restrictions that we have to fall under. So that's kind of what we want to go through tonight, is like, what are these mandatory elements that you need to follow to have this in-person huddle, okay? Many of you are already meeting virtual, and that's great. You need that traction. You need to dig into the Word. Even if it's virtual, that's great. So we want to give you that opportunity that when the time comes, or when you have the opportunity to get into a huddle meeting in person, we want to equip you. We want to get you ready for that. And so as you see on the screen, you're going to see our mandatory elements. First and foremost, okay, follow all the federal, state, and local FCA and school district guidelines. And you're going to find that on these links right there in that form. You can go to each one of those. It'll break it down for you as far as what you need, as far as the guidelines go. I mean, all the social distancing, the masks, hand washing, everything that temperature taking if that's needed. So there's going to be a lot of guidelines you need to follow, and it's very important that you follow those guidelines. Okay, we want to be serving each other in excellence. We want our huddles to be excellent. We want them to make an impact in your life. So to do that, and to qualify to do that, follow the guidelines, okay? The one thing I should mention right now in North Carolina, indoor meetings are 25 or less, okay? With masks, distance. Outdoor meetings are, I think, a max of 50 in a group. And that, even that alone, you can wear masks. You definitely want to be social distance. You want to have a program set up that is going to allow for ample participation a time to connect, a time to dig into the word. Maybe there's the games that are set up that are gonna have everybody engage with each other. But at the same time, keep those numbers in mind, okay? And you'll find all that on the North Carolina Health Association website there that you see. Another thing that we kind of want to remind you of is when you're planning this in-person meeting, okay, and I'm going to kind of skip around on this list here just so you know, but it is very important that you talk with your huddle coach, okay, the person that's leading your huddle, the huddle coach, the adult huddle leader, talk through them what it looks like to meet in person. You know, you already know that most of the schools aren't allowing clubs to meet on campus, okay? So with that, maybe there's an alternate meeting area. We have one church that would like to sponsor one of our huddles in their church because they can, and yet we still need to follow social distancing, but they offered their space. So there is that option out there, okay? So I think when you think through this stuff, make sure that you're talking with your huddle leaders about what's the next step. You know, who do we contact? Where can we go? There's many options out there, okay? But again, let's fall back and follow all the federal, state, FCA, local, and school district guidelines, okay? Because we want this to be a certified huddle. We want you guys to be meeting and be proactive with this. Something that we want to make certain is that the facility that you meet at, okay, it's very important that you talk with them and they are allowing group meetings, okay? So if you're gonna meet outside your school and you start to meet, maybe it's a park, maybe it's at a church, a parent's home, all these things still need to be followed, okay? Whatever site that you're going to meet, if it's a church or if it's a community park or something like that, you do need to clear it with that entity to make sure that they are allowing group meetings, okay? Find out what formalities they have, okay? It's very important to find out, like, do they have waivers that you need to sign? If your huddle is certified, and we'll get to this, but if your huddle is certified, you fall under certain liability with FCA already, okay? And so you're covered by FCA in a certain point with your huddle meeting. So it's important to have that conversation, okay, with the facility that you're going to choose to meet at. If it's a park, make sure it's a public. If it's a public park, just kind of look back at the local guidelines for meeting. Okay, that's important. We would like you to, you know, practice, like I said before, all the COVID, the safety practices listed in the huddle meeting guidelines. We have that sheet here. I don't know if we're going to throw it up or not, but it's very important. It's just very simple. We've already talked about it. The distance, the mask, have the hand sanitizer there. Obviously be welcoming, and then also just keep practicing that safe distance and procedures, okay? The one thing that we want you to consider, okay, the site plan to utilize, is it willing to host your event? We talked about that. Will school districts allow coaches and athletes to attend your event, okay? Right now, with the virtual training, stuff like that, there are certain stipulations that the school districts have on coaches because they are also teachers in the school district. So they have them under certain guidelines, like strictly teaching or, you know, or just coaching, no outside entities, because there's a lot going on right now. So it's something to check in with before you plan your huddle off campus. Will coaches be willing to promote and attend your event? Most of them can attend your event. Check on the school policy about how they would promote your FCA huddle. You want to fall under those guidelines with, be it either middle school, high school. What's the school policy, okay? You know, for advertising and you know, posters or whatever the case is. Obviously, you're not going to be in school right now, so posters probably won't be necessary, but yet there's social media. There's all kinds of things. So let's be sure you're proactive and you just kind of check what are the policies. Most huddle coaches, most of your teachers are going to know those policies, and so it shouldn't be a problem, okay? Will parents be allowed to host athletes? Parents allow athletes to participate. That is up to the parents. We'll just leave it at that. That is a family decision. if they want their athletes their kids, their children to attend the huddle, that is between the parent and the athlete. Do the FCA volunteers have any reservations about serving at this event? So if you have certain volunteers that maybe like help out at the huddle and stuff like that, if they're not comfortable being there due to the COVID restrictions, stuff like that, that's okay. You know, that's just another step that you followed through with, and that's being very proactive. The one thing I can tell you is the huddle coaches have to have an approved MLA, okay? This is something that we require for all huddles, virtual, off campus, community huddle, whatever the case, okay? All huddle coaches need to have a MLA, and we have the link here. I don't know, if, Alex, you're gonna throw it up. We don't really need to. There it is. So you're gonna go to this site if you're a huddle coach, and this site is just basically going to walk you through the form. It's obviously you're just going to sign up, and what this site is just going to ask you the certain questions. It's going to kind of ask you gospel questions, heart questions, serving questions, testimony questions. So it's just something that we use to confirm each huddle leader before they serve. So, and this is a must to be certified. A huddle needs to be certified to meet, to fall under FCA guidelines. So we really ask and hope that all our huddle leaders can get this done before they start serving with the huddle. Our speakers, we really like to have our speakers have an MLA on file as well. The reason for this is for the same reason as a huddle leader. Anybody that's working with athletes in FCA realm need to have that MLA so we can understand where they're coming from in their faith, okay? The one thing with the speakers though, if you have a speaker that's gonna be speaking at your huddle, or huddles, I should say, more frequent, then they need to have an MLA on file. If you have a speaker that's just coming in for one time, just have the huddle or your area rep just meet with the speaker, kind of talk through with them, and just kind of see what they're going to speak about, and just to get to know them so they feel comfortable that they're going to serve your huddle well. Okay, so keep that in mind with your speakers, that they need to have an MLA. Usually your FCA area representative is going to be apprised of this, and so you'll just connect them with your area rep, whoever your speaker is. Okay. The huddle coach, we ask that the huddle coach is always present at any huddle, off campus, virtual, for protective reasons, and just usually their huddle coach is there to help lead the student leaders, maybe help organize a little bit. The one thing about our huddles though is we really do want them to be student-led. Okay, it's very important that they're student-led. Students leading have a better impact on reaching the peers. And so we see that that is going to be a key role, is having the student leaders lead the huddles, plan the huddles. The huddle coach will help the leaders do that, okay? That's something that the huddle coach can do. And also your area reps can also help with assisting that as well. I'll look here real quick. Okay. So and if you guys have questions, please throw those up now. I actually am open to any kind of dialogue that you guys need to have right now. I don't want to move through this too fast. The strongly suggested, our strongly suggested practices, this is something that we really emphasize, that this will just make your huddle flow better and be more organized. And again, remember, we're talking about an in-person huddle, okay? Number one, first and foremost, we just talked about it, maintain student leadership. This is really important. Students are gonna touch the peers. Peers are gonna be impacted by students. And so we see it all the time. We see the leaders, we see them grow in their relationship with Christ, but we see them impact others that maybe have those questions and stuff. And so the one thing I can tell you about that, if you have student leaders, work with them. If you're a huddle coach, work with your student leaders. If student leaders, rely on your huddle coach to kind of to guide you through things. Rely on your area rep to guide you through things, to help plan. And we'll show you kind of some resources later on here to help you with that planning process. But yeah, student leaders, you guys are a key role in our huddles. And so we always look forward to working with our student leaders. Meeting outdoors in a larger indoor area like a church auditorium that allows for social distancing. Obviously, this kind of goes without saying, you know, during the time we're in right now. The bigger the area, the better. So if you have the ability to meet and enjoy a large area, you probably can function easier with games or whatever the case is. The bigger the area, the better it is. The less you're going to be worried about any kind of closeness without the social distancing. Our student leaders, something that we need to really emphasize is that you need to have an approved student leadership application. Okay, very much like the ministry leadership application. This is for students, and for the students, this is going to take you through a few of the heart questions, faith questions. Just kind of get in a discussion, and then the area reps will look over it along with the huddle coach. And this is something that's crucial and a great tool for us to use with our student leaders as well. And for the student leadership application, your huddle coach will guide you through that, or your area rep, depending on who's really helping with the huddle more. But they can show you and direct you in a direction of where to find that. Okay, this is a big one because we already have a few that are meeting right now in person, but this is something that we talked about. Consider the transportation time, because here we are in this virtual atmosphere, okay? And if you say, hey, we want to meet in person, well, there's still students that need to get on and log on at 7:25 a.m., okay? So let's, obviously we want to abide by that. We want to keep things as if we were meeting in a school district outside of curriculum time, okay? So think about that transportation time. Because you're meeting off campus, you could be somewhere completely opposite of your school, okay, for an example. So if you have to log on, if you're going to choose a morning time, make sure that is still going to give you enough time to get there and get back and be logged in for your classes, okay? Other options, obviously, in the afternoons. If practice schedules aren't in full swing yet, you have that opportunity. Weekends, evenings, something that you just need to sit down and talk with your student leaders about when and where you can meet and think about that transportation. What's going to be the easiest for the parents, because they have the schedule for, to drop their kids off, for those kids who can't drive. I mean, that's a big deal for us, okay? So think about that and keep that in part of your planning procedures. When you're in your event, give that extra time for sanitizing or just an extra break for people to kind of reset. Plan your schedule. You're gonna show you in the huddle packet just kind of how you'd formulate your huddle meeting agenda, okay? And we're gonna get to that here pretty soon. So let me think here. Oh, on our personal preferences, however, okay, this is something that, something we'd like to see you guys do, okay? Schedule speakers far enough ahead to verify MLA or communicate with representative. We talked about that already, okay? Something that is just very important with your speakers. And I highly encourage speakers. Speakers are great. We have a speaker list that's outstanding. Just contact your area rep and they can kind of guide you through like who could speak. Our own area reps are amazing speakers as well. So lean on them. They're great to share. But we have a lot of speakers present, but if you do have someone in mind that we don't know of, communicate that with our representative, okay? All right, Alex, if you could click on the huddle meeting agenda. Now, some of this I think you may have seen on Monday night, if you were on Monday, but this is just simply the 4 W's, okay? Um, I, when you're going through this meeting, this is just something that you can use for your planning purposes, okay? The date, the ministry purpose, what is it we're going to be sharing that evening? What's our target group? You know, that could be community, that could be your team, that could be your community huddle, which is a multi-sport huddle. So therefore, you go right into your welcome. What is our welcome going to look like at a social distancing atmosphere? Where are we? Are we at a church? Are we going to be at a park? Are we going to be at someone's home? What does that welcome look like? It's very important to think through those things, okay? Also, I should mention, if you are going to meet at home, at a parent's home, those parents also have to have an MLA on file. Okay, it's important for liability reasons for FCA that if you are going to meet at a parent's home, they need to have that MLA on file. So if you are a student leader and you're volunteering to have your parents there or your parents host, please make sure that they fill out the MLA as well. Sorry, Alex, can you go back to that? So as far as your agenda goes, you have your welcome, your greetings, your announcements. Everybody's sitting socially distanced. You're ready to go. You have your masks on, whatever. You got your Bibles in hand, okay? Or your game is going to be, or your warm up, you know, whatever it is. So just you got to think through that. Your warm up, icebreaker game skits. Got to think through that. What does that look like from a social distancing atmosphere? We have had some huddles that met over the summer that we were outside, and our games, our skits were actually games that we could do socially distanced. It was great. As far as the workout goes, this is where you're just in the planning procedure of what is our study going to look like that evening, okay? What resources are we going to be using? Testimony, are we going to do a devotion? Are we going to do Bible study? This is just something you do with your huddle coach in the planning process, okay? Our wrap up, closing, that can be pretty much anything that you have in mind. You know, what is that? Ending in prayer, which is incredibly important that we end in prayer. Keep in mind your wrap up also has to encompass that social distancing atmosphere, okay? So things to keep in mind, all right? If you can go back. So something else that's really important, and we've been in conversation with other huddles, are what is it going to look like? We'll just call it a hybrid huddle, okay? We're meeting virtually right now in our school. You have a huddle that's meeting virtually. Well, we now have the opportunity to maybe connect at a church every other week, okay? If that is the case, let me back up. You make sure that if you are recognized as a club in your school and you meet off campus, that still falls under the guidelines of the school, okay? Is everybody following me now? If you are not recognized as a club, you're going to be considered what's called a community club, okay? That basically, I'm trying to put this in words, that's basically going to be the same guidelines, okay, as we talked about before with the social distancing, with the planning period, okay? Just make sure that wherever you're meeting, everything is talked about, the facility is okay with it, your planning procedures are taken care of, your social distancing, all that stuff is the same, okay? Now, if you have a hybrid where you're meeting virtually and then you're going to meet somewhere else, treat it as one, okay? Keeping the social distance in mind. It's very simple to do that, okay? You just have to maybe have a little bit more planning procedure once you get to the off campus, all right? I highly recommend that if you have that ability to do that. I think we all desire to be together. Christ made us to commune and be with one another. And so I know this is tough for everyone. And so when you get to that point of having an off-campus huddle, do all the check all the boxes, make sure you have everything. It's just going to make it that much easier to meet. Okay. If you are doing a hybrid, I would highly suggest that you go back and you watch the video from Monday night. That way, if you can follow the virtual guidelines as well. The link is right there. We won't need to click on that, but the virtual resources are there. So you can click on that and you can follow the virtual guidelines as well as going off campus. Okay. So if Christy, if you want to pop back on, I'm just going to kind of go through. Well, first off, let me ask if does anybody have any questions about meeting offline? Or sorry, meeting as a community, meeting as one. Does anybody have any questions with that? If you have questions, make sure you use the Q&A. That's a little fancy box at the bottom there. And yep, just use the Q&A button below, and then you can type in your questions there, and we can get them answered. Until then, I'm going to go through. Alex, if you can put up the resources again. And also, I should introduce Greg, who just popped on. Greg is the area rep for Orange County, Person County, and Durham County, if I think I got that right. So it's Greg Brooks. And basically, I'm just going to ask them to kind of maybe interject any thoughts they have with resources or ideas for you guys to kind of take into consideration. The first one we have there, best resource, is this right here. We got your FCA Bible, okay? This is one of the new ones that we have, and yes, I broke into the box and got a new one out. So these are awesome. I mean, obviously the Bible is going to be your huge resource, but in the back you have all your training times, your huddles, you're mapped out, you have your topics. If the Bibles are needed, talk to your area rep. They can talk to you about purchasing Bibles for your huddle at a staff cost. Which would be a enormous benefit for your huddle to everybody have an athlete Bible. They're really popular. I highly recommend them. They're the coolest thing in the world. The YouVersion Bible app. We've used it many times. It's a very popular tool. If you haven't used it, I would highly encourage you to look into it. Download it on your phone. SCA has a ton of Bible studies on there, okay? We have a Bible study, here it is. It's on the YouVersion app, okay? It's called The Core, and this is the book that we have, and we can get this for you, but the Core book is also on the Bible app in the sense that everybody can get on there. You can get on as a huddle. You can do it during time away from the huddle. Allows you the ability to comment on the study. And so there we go. The Core, this is just something that's incredibly beneficial to someone who is new in their faith. It takes you through just, what does it mean to walk in a Christian life, transformation, what motivates you. You can see this is the website for the Core. This is just an incredible tool that you can use as a Bible study. Maybe you're going to be discipling someone one-on-one. This is an amazing tool to disciple someone one-on-one. So this is just one resource, the Core. And so what I was saying is this is also on the Bible app. Okay, this is one of the studies. If you go on that Bible app, the YouVersion app, and you type in FCA on the search, you're going to get all kinds of Bible studies on there. And it's great. So use that. That's just one resource that you can use. Our FCAresources.com, okay? This is our website that everything is on here, okay? Your devotions, your, help me out guys, what else is on there? everything. But you can see there's all kinds of Bible studies, there's videos, there's ministry tools you can do. The icebreakers, what a huge benefit that is. Some people are like, I don't know what to do for a huddle. Well, you go to the icebreakers and you got a ton. You got so many there, okay? So this is a great website. I would highly suggest you just, if you are a student leader, you bookmark this website right now, okay? You go to fcaresources.com and you bookmark this. And so therefore you have it. And as you can see, it has everything in there. The best part about this is you can go into the search and you can just type in, if you are working on a Bible study that's anxiety for that, okay? So you need to do, and the keywords there, if you typed in anxiety, so it's gonna come up with all kinds of devotions or Bible studies that are gonna be dealing with anxiety, how Christ can just be your number one, your rock when it comes to that, the strength that you need from Christ. And so that's just one example. It's just so many resources there. Let's see, and then we do have a faith response tool. This faith response tool is something that when someone gives their life to Christ, we want to make sure that we follow up with them, okay? And so this faith response tool is just a way for us as staff, FCA staff, to track who it is. And it also, the person is going to get back a lot of videos from professional athletes that walk them through what it means to follow Christ. And it's so incredibly powerful that when you do have that person in your huddle who's come to Christ, connect them with an FCA representative right away, connect them with the huddle coach, pray with them instantly, right? It's so important. That's just, I mean, everybody's cheering up in heaven that this person has come to Christ. This faith response tool is just going to be a tool for them to kind of walk what it means to walk forward with Christ from that day forward, okay? And that is something that we would just talk to you about throughout the year, okay? Greg and Christy, you guys can jump in if you have any input on any of this.
Yes, I'll give you just a second to rest your voice on the YouVersion app. I know back in personal preferences we talked about, or Lance mentioned that you might want to have a virtual option for those students who are unable to attend in person. The YouVersion Bible studies are awesome for that. It's one way to make sure that even those who aren't able to be present can be walking through those Bible studies with you and can be commenting and participating, even if they're not able to be in person with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Hey, Lance, I'll let you rest your voice a little longer. Hey, I just, the resources are great. I just want to throw in a few things to the student leaders and maybe the huddle advisors that are on tonight too. Just things I've learned in 1 year as being area rep for the Western Triangle schools. The student leaders, that student leadership application, that's not only critical for us, but I really believe it's most critical to the huddle advisors so they can assign duties based on the strengths of their leaders. I wouldn't give that out to everybody in the group. Maybe just those that show up to a leadership meeting, or if you just have a general meeting, give it to those that are interested in being leaders. I think it's good then that you don't get everybody thinking that they're going to fill out everything that's on that form. And then once that happens and the assignments have been given to the leaders of the group, I think it's important that you just invest more in each leader. The more they feel invested, the more they're going to recruit other students to come. As a former teacher, I felt like I would have just controlled them and had them do what I wanted them to do. I'd set the format of the meeting. I would tell them what, that I wanted them to do, and they don't feel invested then. It's supposed to be student run and student initiated. I would struggle with that as an advisor, but I have found in the most successful huddles that the advisors that give them the responsibilities, maybe guiding them more on the spiritual side, but less on the format side, works best. And, you know, right now, I think it's a great time just to be in prayer. If, you know, if the huddles haven't started yet, this is a great time to pray. If this time hasn't done anything else, it's led us to believe that our only options are in Christ. I mean, he is our hope, and he's always been our hope, but I think other people are realizing it now. So we've got a group of people out there that are probably looking for Christ in their life. And so I would say the best recruitment that we can do right now may be toward athletic teams that are actually assembling, or at least on Zoom calls right now, and to recruit them to be on whatever you got going with FCA. I think that's our best possibility for recruitment. But just be in prayer, be in your own quiet time. It's powerful. It'll be great for your school and for yourself personally. That's all I got right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg.
Uh,
Another tool that we have for you guys from Leadership Camp this last summer, it was a virtual. We have all the Leadership Camp videos that you'll need to lead your huddle, or just very well educate yourself. I don't know if he's gonna. Yeah, there we go. So here you go. You go to Leadership Camp or Carolina's FCA Leaders on YouTube. All your videos are going to be there. You have the Bold Leader, which talks about the four. How do you share the four? And so, and many other, the Dependent Leader, Devoted Leader. A lot of these are going to be for huddle leaders themselves, huddle coaches, but yet I guarantee you, as student leaders, these are so huge and key. Some of you saw them all this summer. Some of you were part of Leadership Camp, and that's great. So you're very familiar with this. It's great to go back. Great to go back and connect with these again. So this is just another tool to equip you guys. The one tool that we really want to look at here is the huddle packet. This packet is going to be something that's just going to help you guide your way. It's going to have many topics of maybe questions that you have about leading your huddle. There we go. So this is like gonna give you the 30,000-foot view all the way down to what it means to lead your huddle. Okay, there's your agenda, 8 steps to leadership, team success. You know, this is just something that we have the link on that form. I highly suggest you go to it this evening, look through it, talk to your huddle coach. If something that pops out at you, you need more instruction. For your leaders group, this is something that you really want to have by your side at all times. Your leadership group, student leaders should be on there and going through this packet. This does have the statement of faith, our student leadership application. As you can see, it has our planning sheet. This is all right there. This is an amazing tool for you guys to have to help you plan all your huddles virtually or together, okay? The one thing that I think is crucial that you guys need to do when you're planning your off-campus huddle is be in strong communication with each other. Have your team, your lead team, your student leadership team meeting consistently before you meet that first time off campus, okay? Have all these steps taken care of before you meet that first time, all right? It's important that you talk through this, especially with the facility that you're gonna be at. And so focus on that, pray about it, all right? That's such an important key that we have, is just that you pray about, when do we meet off campus? Should we meet off campus? Is everybody comfortable? You know, and if you have traction right now with your virtual huddle, then by all means, you have the ability to start that conversation of meeting off campus, okay? I know that on Monday night we had the Fuquay, we had Tara from Fuquay and Brandon from Holly Springs, the huddle coaches there. Their huddles are already just a huge number. And so they have the ability to kind of start that conversation. What would it look like if we met off campus maybe once a month? You know, what are the planning procedures for that? So keep that in mind. If you are a huddle that has not met yet, virtual or anything, and your focus is to get off campus first, then please go back and follow the steps. Find the facility first, follow all the federal, state, local guidelines, FCA guidelines, and then go that next step, okay? It's very simple. Please use us as staff, as resources for you guys. We have a lot of great area reps that are willing to step out there and just guide you through this and talk with you through this. If you have questions, like you just can't quite remember what we talked about, these are recorded. These webinars are recorded. Monday night is recorded. For you huddle leaders, last night, Jay did a great job of taking everybody through the huddle leader, what it means to be a leader for your huddle. And so you can go back and you can watch that one. So with that, questions. Are there any questions out there about an in-person ministry off campus? Just use that question and answer box below to type in your question. I think one thing I know, Christy, I hate to put you on the spot, but if Christy could come back on and give that example of what your pastor used as an example to have an in-person meeting. But before she answers, we do have a lot of youth groups, obviously, many of you are probably a part of them, that are meeting in their church and stuff like that. And so there's some ideas that come from youth group. The one thing to keep in mind though with the youth group is they are not under FCA, okay? So some of the examples probably wouldn't be an FCA example, but this one that Christy has is a really cool example of what can be done from a social distancing perspective. So go ahead.
Sure. So what they've been doing for their youth group is meeting outside, and they have actually painted circles on their pavement. And when the kids get there, they have different theme nights where they dress up or whatever, and they bring their lawn chairs. And from the time they get there, they pick a circle, and the only other people that can be within their circle are people from, you know, let's say siblings come or people that live together come. They can be in the same circle if they choose to. Otherwise, they stay in their own circle that night. They also have done some indoors, and they use beach towels or yoga mats and spread those out. And that's, you know, you stay on your area through the course of the evening, just to help everybody, you know, remember that whole idea of spacing.
Awesome, thank you. Well, we are going to wrap it up since we don't have any questions on there that I can see. We're going to wrap it up. Please just reach out to us. Oh, here we go. This is where you can reach us, triangle@fca.org, for any questions you have. Your huddle meeting guidelines. This is very simply put. I can't even read it. There, thanks. There we go. Old eyes. Follow campus meeting protocols. If you're able to meet on campus, we all know that that's probably going to be a while before we can do that. But if it's off campus, we've talked about that over and over. If it's virtually, make sure you go to fca.org virtual, or on our website, trianglefca.org, you'll find the virtual stuff. FCA safety practices, hand washing, sanitizer, masks, voluntary are required. You'll know by your local guidelines. Encourage any signs of sickness to stay home. My advice to that is if you guys use the tool GroupMe for your huddle, awesome. Any communication, the more communication you have with your huddle, the better. Say that before you meet in person. To say, hey, if any of you are feeling sick or anything like that, please stay home. Okay? Or don't forget your mask. Or make sure when you show up, you know, you've washed your hands, or we'll have hand sanitizer for you, okay? Use that GroupMe, use the communication. I think the more you communicate with an off-campus huddle and inform people, especially with travel, especially with meeting start time and end time, keep that tight. Communicate that, okay? Social distance, 6 feet or more. Limit physical contact, obviously. you know, whatever games you're doing, you make sure you can kind of arrange that so it's limited. Snacks, I would encourage people to bring their own for now, okay? Anything homemade cannot be brought to any huddle. Even if a parent hosts, we're kind of asking that nothing homemade. Actually, I think pizza is fine, which I know it sounds weird, but as far as like a huddle that meets off campus in a church or at a park or something like that, just everybody bring their own food, okay? And yeah, and do have a roster. Make sure you kind of keep, you know, who's in attendance, you know, because if someone does have symptoms, then there's a format that we have to follow up with everybody, okay? We really appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you so much. And we wish you the best this year, and please reach out to us in any way that we can serve you. That's what we're here for. So thank you, and have a blessed week.